Okay, for Caroonies, let's go! I hate myself sometimes. I thought today we would speak about my multiple invisible illnesses, I guess, and the journey that was the diagnosis. I can't tell a story without multiple bits. I caught COVID back in 2020 and it was bad. Very, very, very sick. Very, very, very sick. What is that? God. We're not 100% sure that the COVID was exactly triggering it, but it is a common thing of autoimmune disorders to trigger after something like severe stress or a severe illness or anything like that. So combining the two, hey presto, here I am. And it was really subtle. At first it was just being exhausted all the time, like needing a nap, going from the living room to my bedroom, and having to stop and sit down after like 5 to 10 minutes of walking just to recover a bit. Then it started turning into gastro symptoms. There was lots of stomach cramps, lots of sickness, lots of food intolerance randomly coming up, dropping weight like crazy, just generally not feeling well. And it was then escalating to being just daily. And I spoke to my doctor and he was like, oh, okay, we should probably do some tests. And a couple of them came back with certain levels at like a high level, I guess, higher than normal, let's say. And my doctor was kind of like, we should give it a couple of weeks or so and we'll repeat the test and we'll see. And we got the results back and it was even higher, and they were like, okay, we need to work on this. It was a lot of being admitted to hospital. I would be spending 2 days in hospital, be out for 6 days and then back in again, losing 2.5 kilos every couple of days, things like that. Then putting me and going, oh, maybe you need surgery, maybe it's gallstones, maybe it's kidney stones, maybe it's other stones, I don't know. There was a lot of stone talk. Thankfully, the place I moved to, the doctor's surgery I have, is brilliant. We sat down together and I told them absolutely everything. I gave them all of my medical notes. It was a file about this thick, with everything, test results, consultations, scans, the works. And she was like, what is it that you're looking for? And I simply just said, look, the last time I felt this way, it took 3 years and I was diagnosed celiac. I don't want to be in this position in another 2 years. It's hard, you in your mid to late 20s, you're not overweight, there's no, you don't smoke, you're not an alcoholic, you don't do drugs, so there's not a lot of warning signs. The only warning signs were my symptoms, and my symptoms couldn't be explained. And just everything was going a bit haywire. I just couldn't trust my body anymore. So eventually I saw a gastroenterologist consultant in London, and the first thing he said was, this is systemic. It was one of the first times that I felt like I'd really, really been listened to, like a doctor had finally put into words how I'd been feeling. You are constantly fighting in your body, and there's something. He's like, we might find a gastro issue, but I don't think we will. He was like, all the ones that they thought Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, various kind of conditions like that. But even he was like, what? Not enough to be like, it's definitely this. But he also said at the same time, he was like, you need to see a rheumatologist immediately. So at the very least, there would be different tests, so it wouldn't be running the same ones over and over and over again. And I saw a rheumatologist, and I bawled my eyes out. It was emotional. I was at the end of my tether because it had been 2 years at this point. I'd been ill nearly every single day. Nobody could tell me why, nobody could tell me what was going on. There was multiple hospital visits, like lots of scary symptoms and scary things happening, and nobody could tell me why. Your symptoms don't match your test results. And I was like, I know, so run different tests. The sort of conditions that I have usually are either from birth, like celiac can be a lot of the time from birth, or in your mid to late 40s. And that was part of my fight of going, my celiac and my hypothyroid weren't typical. I wasn't at the standard age. It wasn't a typical diagnosis. It wasn't a typical presentation. I had been the anomalies. I had been that, well, sometimes it does show this way person. So, saw a rheumatologist and explained all about my symptoms and what I'd been experiencing, about the pain that wasn't now just in my abdominal area, I guess. It was in my back, it was in my wrists, in my hands, in my neck, in my arms, my legs, old injury sites. I was just getting pain constantly, and it would flare up, it would go down again. I was getting such strong fatigue that I was falling asleep while doing things. I'd doing a crossword on the tube and I'd be falling asleep with the pen in my hand. And then other physical symptoms that didn't match anything rheumatological, rheumatological, didn't match. And the rheumatologist then just went, I'm not entirely sure. He's like, there's clearly a few things going on here, and you're definitely not going to come away with just one diagnosis. All I heard was, I'm not sure, and I got upset. And he was like, this is what I needed to see. He was like, clearly, this is impacting you. Clearly, you are not well. So you have been really unwell. All you need to do is sleep right now, and you can't do that. And that's where, on the spot, he went, you clearly have fibromyalgia. It is a disorder that's associated with widespread pain and chronic fatigue. Secondly, you have joint hypermobility. It is a condition which means your connective tissue is a lot more lax than regular people's, so it means you're incredibly flexible, but it also then leads to pain and soft tissue injuries. So on that day, I went away with those two diagnoses. I went on holiday, and it was in a sunny country, and I would come up in hives, and have all the same symptoms that I had previously. It made me kind of go back to my rheumatologist, and I was like, look at what is happening. I took a picture of the hives because they were enormous. They were all the way down my arms, massive, great big lumps that would then bruise as well. And that's when they went, actually, this isn't just joint hypermobility, this is ehlers-danlos syndrome. The category that I've been given is hypermobile ehlers-danlos syndrome. It's the most common version. It's still 1 in 5,000 that happens, but it's not always a thing. We're about to have a visitor. Anyway, we're nearly at the end. So, yes, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, got that too. So that's fibromyalgia, Ehlers-Danlos. I then got back in touch with my gastroenterologist, and he was like, it's clear you don't have another gastro illness. What I think you do have is something called visceral hypersensitivity. It often occurs in people with long-term celiac disease and those with underlying rheumatological conditions. Basically, everything in your abdomen, from like your ribs downwards, is super sensitive. So I can feel my food digesting. I can feel where the food is in my digestive tract. If I get pains, I can get pains so bad that it makes me faint. So that was another diagnosis. And after kind of learning to deal with EDS, Ehlers-Danlos, I've then weirdly met somebody with the same condition, who's managed to teach me a lot. It's not something medical professionals deal with day to day, And it's, again, so rare and so widespread. Like, everything is different and conditions can interact. So a lot of the time, if my EDS is flaring up, it will then cause my fibro to flare up. So I'll be feeling extra bendy and loose while also feeling completely stiff and in pain at the same time. And what I also found out was something called mast cell activation syndrome. Whoever made these up, like, were brilliant at tongue ties. Tongue ties? Is that what they're called? Oh, hello. Hi. Thank you so much. Oh, remove yourself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to continue, I guess, with a little appearance. This is Muffin, who is super fluffy, and is clearly after some food. Oh God. Okay. Yes, I learned about something called MCAS. It's really hard to diagnose. There is a test. But weirdly, with EDS, you can have MCAS reactions without actually having MCAS. So basically, you have MCAS. And what that is an allergic reaction in a way. So it explained the hives, the fainting, the random food sensitivities for things that I was not sensitive to. Luckily, cat hair was never one of them. And yeah, so we've added that into the mix, and lo and behold, please do not step on my keyboard. Lo and behold, we are there with these conditions. There's still a long way to go, and there's still a lot of work to do. There's still some processing of conditions. I've still got to learn a lot of pacing and resting and learning about how to manage for potential flare-ups and potential setbacks without kind of hindering my ability to live my life. You only get one of them, potentially, so let's kind of get used to it. That's pretty much it. I know it's a bit of a long story. There is not as many, like, haha, funny, weird moments, with the exception of this. Thank you. Of course he leaves now. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for various other videos that I shall be doing, and I'm gonna go wash my face, because it's covered in cat hair. Nice. Bye!